Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Highruler and today I'm doing my very first build video on my Captain America. Now, you guys have been asking me what do I do for Captain America ever since the raid came out, and today's video is going to explain to you guys what I build towards Captain America, some substitution pieces that you could use, and then the stat breakdown that I use and why I use it. Now, to start off our build video guys, we're going all the way over to our slot 1, which is the Discordant Iron Gloves. Now, this piece guys has 77 precision, 70 resilience, and 68 might. Now, the main point of this gear piece, guys, is going to be that lethal conduit. Now, when we look at the lethal conduit, it is defeating an enemy with the vibranium status effect sends the sonic conduit buff to all heroes. All heroes are considered sonic conduit receivers. Now, the sonic conduit buff, guys, actually plays very well with other gear pieces from the Discordant raid. Now, if you guys have watched Lejeune's latest Spider-Man build video, he has a piece for his Spider-Man that is when you receive the sonic conduit buff, all status damage is increased, I believe it is, right? So the idea here is that all these pieces will kind of work in synergy with each other, and it's all about kind of buffing each other up, right? So that is the reason why we go with the Discordant Iron Gloves. This is the reason why we go with the lethal conduit. Now, be aware, guys, as a patch 2.2, this was a part of the known issues and workarounds, right? So this may not trigger all the time, but when it does trigger, you definitely will help your teammates out quite a bit. The last two perks, guys, Balance, Scream, and Blaring Shake, aren't really anything we're really concerned about. Those are more kind of in line with a melee Captain America and kind of inflicting that sonic status damage and then staggering those enemies. Once again, not really something we're concerned about. Similar to the Might stat, guys, not really something we're really concerned about whatsoever. Now let's go over to the Discordant Amplifier, our slot 2, our range slot. Now this one, guys, has 60 Valor, 59 Precision, and 62 Might. Once again, we get another Might stat that we don't necessarily care about. Now, looking at the gear perks, guys, we're looking at the first two that are more beneficial to us than that third one. The first one is Granting Magnifier. While sending the Sonic Conduit buff to other heroes, the sender's attacks infused with any status effect deal damage increase by 15%, which is really good because then you tie it in with the range reverberation. All range attacks deal vibranium damage. This means our vibranium damage is buffed by 15%. This means that when we do vibranium damage and we tie it in with the lethal conduit, we're sending the sonic conduit buff to our teammates, right? These three perks, lethal conduit, Granting Magnifier, and range reverberation, all play very well together and synergize very well, which is kind of the core of the build here when it comes to these two pieces. Now, when we look at Pinpoint Vibranium Payload, yeah, I mean, it's cool, but it's not really anything that we're worried about. It's not really anything we're concerned about. Frankly, it could not be there, and I'd just be the same about this piece. The piece relies on those two perks, and the third one doesn't really matter for us whatsoever. Now, looking over here at our third one, guys, this is a reactive buff chest plate. By now, damage buff, as we all know, is king, and if you have some way to get a damage buff, you are going to be laughing when it comes to these fights, right? So for me, very easy to pick a reactive buff. You're not really doing anything. You're just taking, damage as you are playing. And because of that, you get a damage buff and your damage just goes through the roof, right? Very simple, very easy. The stat breakdown for that, guys, is going to be 53 Resolve, 56 Valor, 53 Precision. Once again, our top three stats that we use. So for me, guys, this is a great piece to have. Now let's look at our slot 4, which is Helm of the Super Soldier. Now this one's going to be very interesting because this item got changed in 2.2 and some of the perks have changed to kind of be updated when it comes to this item. Now, this is a priority item, guys, which means that it can take a while to farm it, so just be aware. And we're going to walk through some items that you can use in substitution of this until you get it. But this has 66 Precision, 59 Valor, 72 Resolve. Now, if you have this from pre-2.2, you're okay. You have the same one as I do, right? Which is Rally Cry Breaker, 50% increased damage from Rally Cry. Heroic Assistance increases the charge rate of the heroic support ability by 18%. And then Eagle's Cry, which is increasing the duration of Rally Cry by 3 seconds. Great. I mean, the item synergizes very well with itself, and because of that, you're able to kind of pop Rally Cry faster, get more damage out of it, and just get it back quicker, right? So for me, this is a great slot 4. Now, looking at the other one, when it increases damage from Rally Cry, when it increases stun damage from Broken Brawler, and increases the damage from Broken Brawler, it's still a great piece. It still drops with Precision, Valor, Resolve. For me, guys, I would use that one just as well. There's nothing wrong with that piece whatsoever. If you have the updated one, still use it because you're still getting the damage buff from Rally Cry, now from Brooklyn Brawler, right? The idea is that by popping these abilities, you're getting more damage out of your character. So for me, guys, if you're looking at this, you're going, wow, I don't have the same one as Highruler. That's okay. Use the next one because that one is still just as good. And in some scenarios could actually be better because I don't have anything to buff my damage for Brooklyn Brawler, right? So for you guys, you may be able to pop all your stuff and actually get more damage out of it than I can out of mine. But that is part of the benefits of having that updated item at that point. Now, looking over here at our minor artifacts, guys, I just go with 2 blue ISO 8s with triple precision stats. For me, guys, the stats outweigh the gear perks at this point, so I'm going for the pure snap bonuses of these 2 items. So you can see one has 41 and then 2 double 48 stats. The other one is triple 48. So honestly, guys, at that point, I'm just using those. And then obviously our major artifact is the Sacred Nornstone of the Lethal Will. It's another damage buff, guys. There is nothing I would rather use for a ranged Captain America. Just go with the Nornstone of Lethal Will, get that damage buff, and be safe with it. Now, let's talk about some substitutions, guys. So you're going, okay, I don't have raid gear Highruler, so what do I use in these slots instead of the raid gear? Well, here's what you can do, guys. When it comes to your slot 1, you're just looking at a stat stick personally is what I would say. Now, you're looking at something with precision, proficiency, valor, resolve. You want those 4 stats in any sort of, breakdown of them. Though I will say precision, resolve are needed, and then if you get a proficiency on top of it, cool. If you get a valor on top of it, that's cool too. But you definitely want precision and resolve to be on that stat stick, right? Now you're looking at slot 2 and you're going, okay, what do I do for slot 2? Well, if you don't have this raid piece, guys, there is some options available to you. Now, for me, I'm going with a targeted buff, right? Of course, I'm going with a targeted buff, right? Another damage buff option to buff up your damage, right? Now, of course, you're looking at this one. It's Resolve, Intensity, Resilience. Not the greatest of stats here, right? It's not something personally I would recommend for a stat breakdown. You're looking at this one, which is Intensity and Proficiency, right? Once again, it doesn't really have any of our main stats. It has the secondary and, tertiary stats. So find something that is a targeted buff with, a precision and resolve stat. You might be all right at that point. Now, when you're looking at something like a Tachyon's Raise as well, if you're grinding, you want that Tachyon's Raise with the damage buff and Tachyon Surge. Yeah, I mean, that's a great one as well, but the grind necessary in order to get that means that it is a lot of kind of saves coming at that point, so maybe don't go for that one. Just try and get a targeted buff. It's simple, it's easy. Open some chests, you'll get one eventually, and go from there. Now, when we're looking at our slot 3, guys, okay, for me, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. It's reactive buff or nothing. Can you get something that is going to kind of help you kind of stay alive at that point? Can you get some of the stats you need? Sure, but I think a reactive buff is definitely needed long term, whereas a targeted buff you can kind of replace and move on from. A reactive buff is such a mainstay of this build that you definitely want to make sure you get it, and if you get it with the right stat breakdown, you keep it and you kind of protect it with your life at that point, right? Reactive buff is very important, so make sure you get that above all else. Now, okay, let's go to the Helm of the Super Soldier. Like I said, this is a priority exotic, which means it can take a while to kind of get. I get it. Priority missions once a week, unless you're safe scumming. So what can you do instead? Well, let's find the Jarvis piece that I have. It's right here. So the Jarvis Zenith Barrier. Now, for me, guys, this isn't a bad piece whatsoever because you get the lethal Jarvis Barrier. You have a chance to get the Jarvis Barrier when defeating enemies. And then you get the Rampage buff as well, which I find is really good with a ranged Captain America, right? Which is defeat 3 enemies in rapid succession to grant a damage buff. Look at the stat breakdown too, guys. It's going to be 53 Valor, 52 Resolve, 50 Precision. Looking at this piece, guys, you're going, okay, this is a great piece to kind of use until you get the Helm of the Super Soldier. For me, try and get this piece. If you can't get the Helm of the Super Soldier, at least get a piece similar to this. You definitely want kind of the stats that I have and get the Rampage buff, guys. Very simple, very easy, and it will help you kind of stay alive as well as do a bunch of damage. And that to me is a good slot 4 substitution until you get the Helm of the Super Soldier. So breaking it all down, guys, let's look at our hero stats. So of course the might is at 130. Our precision right now is at 536, which is 3061 range damage. Our proficiency, you guys are going to notice, is 0. Now, this is probably the one thing I would probably change about this build. Obviously, you're going to see some gameplay that hitting crit it isn't hard for me, but obviously increasing that critical chance is kind of beneficial. So that might be one thing. If I could change about this build, I would. Now, if you guys have something proficiency on it and you still have a bunch of precision and you still have a bunch of valor and resolve and you got a little bit of resilience, yeah, I mean, go for it, right? It's okay to sacrifice a little bit of precision for a little bit of proficiency. I just wouldn't sacrifice too much of it, right? So you're going to have to find that right balance for you. The balance for me that works is going to be a lot of precision, not a lot of proficiency, but I boost that with the champion skills that we're going to get into a little bit later. Now we're going over to Valor, 175 Valor, right? Which is heroic effectiveness at 1636, critical damage at 265%. Our resolve is at 125, which puts our max willpower 15,950, and our willpower recovery effectiveness at 140%. Our resilience, guys, is going to be 32.3% because it's 70, as well as some champion skills, intensity 0, and then all of our charge rates down at the bottom. So that is how my Captain America breaks out stat-wise. Now let's see exactly what I'm doing for the skills and how we can kind of meddle with this to get the best Captain America skill-wise for a ranged Captain America build. All right, guys, so starting over here in the left side of the screen, going at our support heroic ability, I like to use Field Commander, increases the duration of Rally Cry by 5 seconds. Now, depending on which helm of the Super Soldier you have, either you're going to be increasing it by 5 seconds on top of the 3, or you're just going to be increasing it by the 5 seconds in totality at that point, right? So for me, guys, any sort of increase to the duration of Rally Cry is going to be beneficial for you. So this is the one I like to use personally, depending, once again, on which exotic version you have. Though I will say across the board, you should just try and increase the duration of Rally Cry. Now this one, guys, Point Main, you are kind of significantly reducing all the damage you take from taunting enemies. We're not really taunting enemies too much, though, so it's not really something I'm worried about. And then Call to Arms, this is good if you're kind of playing with randoms and you're not really sure how they're going to be. Yeah, I mean, like, you can definitely go with this one and give them a defensive buff, but if you're playing with people who you're not too worried about, this one definitely isn't really that good, and definitely go with Field Commander at that point. So depending on your situation, either you want to go Field Commander or you want to go Call to Arms. Now looking over here on our right side, guys, we're going with the top one, Hold the Line. Defeated enemies marked by Rally Cry have a 35% chance to drop a regen pack. This is the one I like to use. Definitely like to get my health back as soon as possible. Though you can make the case for the last one with the latest version of Helm of Super Soldier, because it is kind of giving you more stun damage. And then if you kind of use threat control, you get more stun damage out of your attacks when Brooklyn Brawler is popped. It definitely will depend on which version of the exotic you have. Though for me, of course, I'm going with the regen pack because I like to stay alive, and sometimes, due to my playstyle, I just kind of like to run in there and, you know, just throw my shield around. So sometimes it doesn't really work to my benefit, so because of that, I'm going with Hold the Line. Now, over here in our Assault Heroic ability, guys, I'm going with Secret Weapon, hold up to 2 charges of the Steamroller Heroic ability. Now, the reason for this is we're going to synergize it with Vanguard Charge. Every 2 enemies defeated with Steamroller generates a Heroic Orb. Now, this is going to be very beneficial no matter what version of Helm of the Super Soldier you have, right? If you have my version, this is going to help you get Rally Cry up faster, which allows you to get more damage through Rally Cry. If you have the new version, the updated one, this is going to help you get Brooklyn Brawler and Rally Cry up faster, which means you're going to be able to pop both of those more reliably and do more damage, right? So when it comes to Vanguard Charge as well as Secret Weapon, you want to choose both of these in order for that synergy to kind of mesh well together. Looking at our ultimate heroic, guys, we're going all the way down to the bottom left, and we're going with Strong Arm, which is, while Brooklyn Brawler is active, range, attack, damage, and impact are increased by 25%. No argument otherwise, guys. This is the one to pick, so make sure you pick this one. Be ultimate heroic ability, bottom left one. Now we're going over here to the right side, guys. We're going with Unwavering Defense. While Brooklyn Brawler is active, blocking will stop any attack. So for me, guys, especially while we're playing in the ULT and we're facing that Super Adaptoid, I do like to have Unwavering Defense ready to go. Now, so there are some other arguments to be made, guys, while looking at the one down below it, which is Unfair Advantage. Grants 25% more energy to Brooklyn Brawler when collecting Heroic Orbs. Yeah, this one could definitely be great too, right? Because once again, if you get Vanguard Charge, you get Secret Weapon, and then you go for this one right here, Unfair Advantage. These synergize very well together in order to kind of extend Brooklyn Brawler to kind of get that more damage out of Brooklyn Brawler. So don't be afraid of picking Unfair Advantage, though for me, once again, Super Adaptoid, I like to block everything. I like to make sure that my shield is actually going to work for me. So I go Unwavering Defense, but yes, you definitely can make the case for Unfair Advantage. So don't be afraid to pick it. If that fits your playstyle more, make sure you pick it and make sure you synergize that well with Vanguard Charge charge as well as secret weapon. Now going to our mastery page, guys, we're going all the way to the left side here and we're going to range damage mastery. Increases all range damage attack by 15%. Once again, guys, it's very simple, very easy. There's no argument against it, all the arguments for it. So that is the one we're going with here. Now this one, guys, air juggling mastery. Yes, can you air juggle with ranged attacks? Yes. Is it doable? Yes. Is it something I recommend you doing? If you can do it, go for it, right? But there's a little bit of player skill involved in that one. Now, when we look at the other ones, guys, you're going to see that none of these really kind of matter to us whatsoever. Increases the critical attack damage by 50% of both the light and heavy combo finishers. Not really something we're interested in. And then heroic boost combat mastery. Boost heroic charge speed by 1% when dealing damage with either light or heavy attacks. Once again, as a ranged Captain America main, not really something I'm too interested in, so not really something I'm going to pick. So for me, guys, I'm going with air juggling mastery. Now over here on the right side, guys, we're going heroic takedown mastery. Performing a takedown forces an enemy to drop a heroic orb. Now, with this build, guys, we're probably not doing a lot of takedowns, right? But if we are going to do takedowns, we might as well get a heroic orb out of it in order to pop both Steamroller, Rally Cry, and then Brooklyn Brawler, right? You want to pop all of these as often as we can and make sure that we get these going as reliably as possible. So for me, guys, heroic takedown mastery is the one that makes the most sense. Over here, guys, in ranged attack, we're going all the way down to the bottom left. Increases the speed and damage of all shield throwers by 15%. Once again, there's really no argument against it and all the arguments for it. So make sure you picked enhanced throw. Now in the middle tree, we're going all the way up to the first one, which is perfect catch. Press R2 when catching the shield to boost the damage by 50% and critical attack chance by 35% of the next throw. Now, there's some argument to be made that this is a little bit of player skill involved, so maybe this one won't be the best one for you. Though I will say when you can consistently do this, this does turn into the best one to pick from, right? It's a little bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, you are going to notice the damage and the critical attack chance being boosted by this one. So for me, guys, perfect catch is the one to use for sure. Now on the right side, we're going all the way down to the middle one. We're going precision heroic dynamo. 15% chance to generate a heroic orb when defeating enemies with headshots. Yeah, I mean, like, this is another one, guys. We want to make sure we get those heroic orbs in order to pop our abilities faster, especially if you're on that new updated slot 4, because you're able to get Brooklyn Brawler and Rally Cry, right? So you see what we're going for, right? We're going for range damage, vibranium status effect. We're boosting that. We're sending the buff to the heroes, and we're trying to get heroic orbs out faster in order to kind of get more damage out of that, right? Everything is sort of synergizing around this ranged attack damage plan, right? Now we're going over to efficiency. Now this one, guys, I don't really care too much about. Similarly with intrinsic ability, but for this, I just picked the first ones. So it increases the max amount of intrinsic shield block energy by 15%, increases the max amount of intrinsic shield block energy by 15%, and then increases the max amount of intrinsic shield block energy by 15%. Yeah, I mean, like, definitely if you guys are interested, pick one of these at this point, mess around with this, see which one fits you better. But for me, I'm just going increasing the maximum amount and just moving on. Intrinsic ability, guys, let's go down to the bottom left here of this first column. We're going Captain's Defense Mastery. Increases the duration of Captain's Defense buff by 8 seconds. Buff is triggered by the Commander's Call ability. Yeah, this is definitely one that I'm picking just so the buff lasts longer. You get the buff up, you're going for it, you're keeping it up. Definitely one that I would pick there. Now in the middle tree, guys, we're going with Intrinsic Rejuvenation. Defeating enemies refreshes Captain Charge's buff. Now this is a good one, guys. This is one that definitely is one that I think you should pick. Basically, all you're doing is your normal gameplay and you're refreshing your buff, right? For me, it's a no-brainer. It's very simple, very easy. It's something you don't have to think about, right? One of the things about this build, and this could be a critique of this build, is that it's very, I guess, like, your brain is just off playing it, right? It's very simple, right? Hold L2, hit R2, and then all these things are kind of working. You're not really having to actively do anything different about your playstyle, right? So for me, it's very autopilot. And that kind of is one of the benefits of it, right? You're not really having to think about doing too much, and everything just kind of works as intended. Now we're going over to the right side, guys, and we're going with Commander's Strength. While the Captain's Charge buff is active, melee and range attacks will break enemy block. Buff is triggered by the Commander's parry ability. Yeah, so I mean, like, definitely, I think at this point, guys, when we look at some of the enemies that are able to block, for sure, I like this one. Now, there is a case to be made for the second one here, which is Iron Defense. While the Captain's Defense buff is active, blocking attacks drains no intrinsic energy. Buff is triggered by the Commander's Call ability. Yeah, this one could definitely work too. Once again, if you're into blocking and making sure that everything is going to be blocked by your shield, go for it. Looking at the third one here, Captain's Intimidation. Now, this one is increasing the duration of the taunt caused by Commander's Call by 5 seconds. Once again, we're not really taunting, guys. We're not really doing anything with that part part of the kit. So this one isn't really one that I would recommend you using. It definitely is the first two. And for me, I'm using the first one, which is Commander Strength. Now let's look at the champion skills, guys. Now, when it comes to the champion skills, there's 4 that you need to be aware of when it comes to maxing them out. That is critical damage boost. Permanently boost critical damage by 5%. You want to max this out. Critical attack chance. This one is boosting critical attack chance by 1%. You want to max this out. Then we're going heroic charge rate boost. You want to max this out. It's increasing it by 2.5%. Then we're going over here, which is fortification boost, permanently increase defense by 1%. You want to max this out. Now, once these guys are all maxed out, and you have all these champion skills in those columns, at that point, it is up to you and your own devices in order to kind of flesh it out and kind of move on from there. Though I will say those 4 are super important, so make sure you get them done. And that is it for the Captain America build video, guys. Once again, it's very simple to play. It's a very brain dead, I will say. And basically the idea is that you hold L2 and hit R2, right? It's very simple, very easy. And hopefully that helps everyone get into the swing of things with this build and kind of do the most damage possible. As you guys are going to see, this build can do quite a bit of damage, and because of that, I actually have a lot of fun playing it. I know, once again, you know, there are some characters that have these intricate builds and you can do all these different attacks. For me, I like to keep it simple. I like to keep everything kind of straightforward and streamlined, and because of that, I'm just able to do a lot of damage. So with that being said, guys, that's it for my very first build video. But let me know in the comments below if you liked it, guys, and I would love to kind of do more of these and explore this character with you. Now, with that being said, guys, thank you guys so much for hanging out and checking out the video. If you liked it, you want to see more Avengers content, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, all that fun stuff, and I'll see you guys next time here on the channel. Thank you guys once again, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Enjoy the rest of your day and your night. Take care of yourselves. Later, guys.
Can't see it under the mask. He's smiling. All things considered. There you go. Keep going. That's it. I'm done being friendly. Harder they fall. Knock them down. Ouch. That looks like it hurt. Eat your bots, eat your toast.